Session 370 deleted. Now, for years, literally, it was hammered into Rupert's subconscious that he was not worthy of any kind of success, and that he would be punished for his treatment of his mother. The suggestions came from the mother. Suggestions given by the mother are always the most tenacious in any case. While he struggled to succeed, this did not cause him noticeable difficulty, though they operated underground, impeding his progress. Only when it seemed that success was on its way or inevitable did these suggestions show their effects. He is conscious of some of these in a general fashion. His mother let it be known that she had no use for him, and he thought if his mother could not love him, then certainly there must be something seriously wrong and unworthy about him. Running away gave him a feeling of security, but he ran in desperation. He stopped running to deal with the problem, to meet it head-on. Symbolically, then, he stopped running, but he carried this out in physical terms also. On a few occasions, the mother went so far as to say, "I hope you are crippled someday, too." And this became the feared punishment. Now, I strongly suggest, Joseph, 1 or 2 hypnotic sessions for a few weeks. You must yourself be cautious, and write down the impressions you intend to give the suggestions. You will dehypnotize him, you see, to the effect that he is good. His basic instincts can be trusted, and he can therefore be free to move and act in a spontaneous manner. He can and should have excellent health and flexibility in order to carry out the work that he has meant to carry out. This will also get the overly conscientious self on your side. You can take it as slowly as you like to begin with, but the steps should be taken. He has made advances in understanding since our last sessions. You must also be patient with him. The overly conscientious self was angry today and tonight, and he projected this anger at you, so that he thought he was simply a bother to you and of no benefit. Understand this is necessary, but if possible in small ways, show him that this is not true, for it can amount to an emotional conviction on his part, and an emotional assurance from you will work far faster than the use of words, though both are necessary. He did arouse himself for battle yesterday, and this was effective, but the state of battle should not be maintained as a daily thing. He understands your need and right to security from all this. You have it. Therefore, you can afford to give emotional assurances. If these are withdrawn, he has a tendency to panic, although now he deals with this in a much more effective manner than he did. The inner security that you attain is also a reassurance to him, for you can then be relied upon to operate with some objectivity, and he knows this. You can afford gestures, however, that are meaningful. Even the third class will be of benefit to him, regardless of finances. Now, he does feel that you have purposely cut yourself off from any interest in the classes. You can clear that up. Regardless of his condition, he does offer an emotional bridge to your mother, though he is frightened when he does so. In his efforts to understand and help your parents, He has more than made up for any failure with his mother. He should understand this. Others more capable have taken over the same role with his mother. The suggestions he has written down should be read twice at a time, 3 times daily, morning, noon, and before retiring. Some excellent work has been done lately while in a dream state. For a while, when he feels tired, or when he feels a definite resistance against work, he should do something that he enjoys doing. Never mind resenting the lost time. He will be refreshing himself, and the same amount of good work will be produced in any case, possibly more. He should work on the dream book each day, whenever possible, but not all day. The spontaneous self dislikes the spelling chores and the bare typing, and the overly conscientious self fears the book's success. 2. At the most 3 hours daily is sufficient for now. Possibly 2 hours unless he feels like more. When he does, this is fine. The rest of the time for poetry. This is the most reasonable and attainable goal for the present. The book will be finished, but not too many demands will be made of either portion of the self on a daily basis. Now, indeed, his upset over your intimate life is a good sign. The anger, for there is anger, is against the overly conscientious self, and he should know this. On the other hand, on your part, all signs of affection will be of great benefit. Do not praise overly for sexual response. Give the affection freely without demand, and you will need no demand. You will know when a demand is the right thing under the circumstances, however, and this is also important, for he will on occasion yield gladly. The affection without demand must first lull the overly conscientious self, for it needs to be quiet and relaxed. Now, all so-called spiritualistic literature should be avoided at this time, simply because the overly conscientious self misinterprets it and sets up further standards of perfection. Rupert did take a good step this evening in talking out to you his feelings. In the past, he would have tried to ignore them. The overly conscientious self, however, tells him that you do not want to be bothered, and so he hesitates and interprets your words, sometimes in that light. Now, he questions his own attitudes, however, which is good, and helps him avoid the full brunt of such pitfalls. I have a small suggestion. Temporarily, you could open and read his mother's letter and inform him of anything he should know. Then he can answer them. For the present, this would avoid some difficulties. A very small point, but interesting. He resents irony. This because his mother was overly particular. This resentment is on the part of the spontaneous self in the man. Unless you have any questions, we will end the session. These last sessions should be read several times weekly, however. Rob asked, "Did I know Jane was going to have this trouble when we married?" Seth said, "You did indeed." Again, the spontaneous self opens and warms to affection. Colors, movement, you see. The overly conscientious self is overly orderly. Rob asked, "Do you think he should continue with the book he's reading? A self-help book on auto-analysis?" Seth answered, "He has finished it. It will do neither good nor harm." Rob asked, "How about similar books in the future?" Seth answered, "Each book is an individual book. The question cannot be answered in those terms." The spiritualistic books, however, he will manage to misinterpret at this time. Short trips out of the apartment are beneficial. Walks, rides, people, casual encounters as of this evening are good for him. Do you have other questions? Rob asked. Is the overly conscientious self less alert now? Seth answered, yes. Rob asked, is it cooperating more? Seth answered, it is cooperating more. Its over-concern arose as a result of the suggestions given over the years. Rob knows. Jane again lay down on the couch, flat on her back as she continued speaking. Seth said, as they lose their power, it will be able to relax. Rob asked, then it has learned more? Seth answered, it has. Rob asked, can the same be said for the spontaneous self? Seth answered, they are learning to communicate. Rob asked, when I hypnotize Jane, am I up to encounter you? Seth answered, not under the circumstances. Rob said, you will be aware of it though? Seth answered, it will indeed. You can call on me if you want to. Rob said, that's what I was wondering about. Seth said, to take over at any point. I will not interfere with the process. Rob asked, then you could speak if I asked you to while Jane is under? Seth said, indeed, but I would not suggest that you interrupt. Rob said, no. Seth said, unless you have good reason. Rob asked, if we hit upon something touchy, could I ask your help? Seth said, indeed. If Ruber were under hypnosis, you would then command him to let me speak. You could try the permissive request first, and if this failed, use the command technique. Rob asked, well, what's the difference between the state he's in now and the state I would put him in? He's in a trance now. Seth answered, yes, but a different sort, leapfrogging to the desired level. You would be dealing with the personal subconscious, and there is a tremendous difference. The subconscious, for example, would speak, and the ego would then allow this direct contact. I must pass through the subconscious, but I am not directly concerned with it. And from me, you get knowledge of its feelings and attitudes when you request them. I can perceive them. In hypnosis, as you are planning, you would directly contact the subconscious. We will now end the session. These sessions should not be too long. Rob said, okay. Seth said, I am like a doctor, able to describe the condition of the patient, or the subconscious. In hypnosis, the subconscious, as the patient, speaks for himself or is spoken to. Rob said, good night, Seth. Rob knows Jane was still reclining on the couch.